you're watching the news from the Sultan of Oman television. First, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos returns to the homeland after undergoing some treatment and medical checkups at the Kingdom of Belgium. Former Prime Minister Abdelmajid Tebboune wins the presidential election in Algeria. And Johnson's Conservative Party in the UK wins a resounding election victory as the European Union is ready for negotiations with London for a trade deal. Those are the headlines, and now for the news in detail. A statement issued by the Diwan of Royal Court. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos returned to the homeland after undergoing some treatment and medical checkups in the Kingdom of Belgium. May Almighty Allah protect His Majesty and grant him long life for his dear homeland and loyal people. Former Prime Minister Abdelmajid Tebboune was announced as Algeria's new president today after a vote the authorities hope will end months of turmoil and protests. Demonstrators who toppled Tebboune's predecessor, Abdelaziz Bouteflika, after 20 years in power, vowed that their movement would not stop. 74-year-old Tebboune, who served as housing minister under Bouteflika and briefly as premier before falling out with tycoons in the ex-leader's entourage, was said to have won over 58% of the electorate, with nearly 5 million votes, making a runoff unnecessary. Authorities said 40% of eligible voters had taken part in Thursday's election, which state media cast as high enough turnout to vindicate the decision to hold the poll in spite of a boycott. Sterling was well supported today after rising overnight to above $1.35 after a resounding election victory by Prime Minister Boris Johnson's Conservative Party. Johnson's win will allow him to end 3 years of political paralysis and take Britain out of the European Union in an orderly manner in a matter of weeks. Although it is seen as a relatively hard form of Brexit, by excluding UK-wide customs union membership, its implementation avoids a damaging no-deal Brexit. The pledge by Johnson's government to cut taxes and put an end to a decade of austerity via increased spending in education, police and health may also yield of corporate and government bonds. Meanwhile, Johnson met Queen Elizabeth II at Buckingham Palace following his election victory, where he was handed the mandate to form a government.
This election means that getting Brexit done is now the irrefutable, irresistible, unarguable decision of the British people. And with this election, I think we've put an end to all those miserable threats of a second referendum.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the European Union will prioritise those issues in its future trade talks with Britain, where there is a risk of economic cliff edge at the end of 2020. She told reporters in Brussels that they are addressing the challenge that the time is very short, noting that besides negotiations on a trade deal, issues such as education, transport and fisheries must also be addressed. Von der Leyen added that there will be a sequencing and there will be more emphasis on a certain ranking. The priorities issues are those where they have neither an international framework to fall back on, nor the possibility to take unilateral contingency measures. Meanwhile, the European Council Minister Charles Michel noted that there can be no question of concluding a trade deal at any price, and any deal must be balanced. China's foreign ministry spoke about the trade deal with the United States, saying it's committed to resolving the issue, but the deal must be mutually beneficial. Spokeswoman Hu Changying made the comments today at a daily briefing. The United States and China are coming up against a natural deadline on December 15th, where a tariff hike will come into effect. The U.S. sources said Washington has set its terms for the first part of the so-called phase deal, offering to suspend some tariffs on Chinese goods and cut others in exchange for Beijing buying more American farm goods. Beijing has so far remained silent. European Union leaders agreed today to a 2015 climate neutrality target for the bloc, after hours of haggling with Eastern European states demanding funds to support transition away from fossil fuels and the continued use of nuclear power. Speaking after discussions that Poland's Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki called very difficult, German Chancellor Angela Merkel acknowledged that Poland would need another 6 months to fully sign up. The decision came just after a day after the bloc's new executive unveiled a €100 billion plan for net zero greenhouse gas emissions by mid-century, declaring it the EU's man on the moon moment. The two-day summit is the first since Germany's Ursula von der Leyen took office as the new head of the European Commission, and a failure to agree on the climate neutrality deal, her biggest initiative, would have been an early setback for the new leadership. The United States announced yesterday a pause in talks with the Taliban after an attack near a US airbase in Afghanistan. US Special Representative for Afghanistan peace talks, Zalmay Khalilzad, said when he met with the Taliban today, he expressed outrage about yesterday's attack on Bagram, which recklessly killed 2 and wounded dozens of civilians. He noted that the Taliban must show they are willing and able to respond to Afghans' desire for peace. Trump made a surprise visit to Bagram on November 28 to celebrate Thanksgiving with his troops and meet with the Afghan President Ashraf Ghani. Still to come in our news bulletin. The Oman College of Health Sciences in the Governorate of Dahira marks the graduation of the second batch of its students. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. A Japanese delegation of businessmen, investors and representatives of Japanese companies visited Duqm Special Economic Zone. The two-day visit aimed to enhance commercial relations between the two countries and explore the investment opportunities in the Walaya of Duqm. It came as part of a business program being implemented by the Public Authority for Investment Promotion and Export Development in the Sultanate. The delegation visited the headquarters of Duqm Special Economic Zone Authority, where they got acquainted with the general scheme of the zone. They also visited some big projects including Duqm Port, Dry Dock Sea Fishing Port, Duqm Refinery and Al Nada City. On the sidelines of the WHO Global Meeting on Non-Communicable Diseases and Mental Health, a meeting aimed to help countries meet global nutrition-related targets, achieve food security in all forms of malnutrition and improve nutrition throughout the life course by 2030 was held. More details in the following report by Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubai.
On the sidelines of the WHO Global Meeting on Non-Communicable Diseases and Mental Health, WHO launched a regional nutrition strategy to strengthen efforts to ensure universal access to healthy and sustainable diets and implement effective nutrition actions in order to improve nutrition throughout the life course, including for mothers, infants, children, adolescents and elder people, prevent undernutrition, overweight, obesity and diet-related NCDs, and support and protect nutrition in emergency situations. This strategy presents a series of recommended priority actions to address malnutrition in all its forms and accelerate progress to meet the global targets centered around the 6 key areas of action of the United Nations Decade Action of Nutrition for 2016-2025, said Dr. Ahmed Al-Mandari. He added during the meeting the WHO Regional Office awarded His Excellency Dr. Ahmed bin Mohammed Al-Saidi, Minister of Health, for his leading role in supporting the nutrition programs and preparing successful programs to address all forms of malnutrition, encouraging breastfeeding and implementing the International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes. Meanwhile, on the sideline of the WHO meeting, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed bin Saif Al-Husni, Undersecretary for Health Affairs, met with Ms. Kennedy, President of International Council of Nursing, where they have discussed various areas related to nursing and its leading role in healthcare services.
I'm very impressed by nursing in Oman. I'm very impressed by how much has been achieved in a very short time. I see that nurses are developing the profession really well in Oman. They're advancing the profession. I think they will do great work. I'd like to see them tell everybody about what they're doing here in Oman, about their primary healthcare services, about advanced practice in Oman. I would like to see them show case histories about their work. And I hope that next year, in 2020, we will see a lot about nursing in Oman.
Present in the meeting was the President of Oman Nursing Association and some of the board members. Abdullah bin Ahmed al-Rubai, Sultanate of Oman Television, Muscat.
Oman College of Health Science in the Governorate of Dahira held a ceremony to mark the graduation of the second batch of its students. Our reporter Salvin Kalfan Al-Rabi has more details in the following report.
A jubilant occasion eagerly looked forward to, as it is the harvest of hard work and the culmination of efforts exerted during 5 years of studying. It is the joyful day that has been long awaited for by the second batch of graduates from Oman College of Health Sciences, Al-Dhahira branch.
It's my pleasure to share the happiness and the success with our dear graduates at Oman College of Health Sciences, Al-Dhahira branch. After 5 years of hard working, I wish them all the best and enlightened future.
Today is a big day for me because it's day for my graduation. I want to say thank for my parents, for my all teachers who give me support in this day and all the 5 years in my study.
27 male and female graduates completed the requirements of the Bachelor of General Nursing program for the academic year 2018-2019.
I feel very happy and actually I proceed my thank to first my God and then to my family who helped me and support me in my study and my teacher in OCH Al-Dhahira.
At all of its branches, Oman College of Health Sciences endeavors to be a pioneer institution in health education, preparing qualified national cadres to provide various health services while keeping abreast of the ongoing developments in this field. Salih bin Khalfan al-Rahbi, Sultanate of Oman Television, Al-Dhahira Governorate.
Now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over most of the governorates, with chances of low cloud and fog late at night and early morning over the coast of the Arabian Sea. Cloudy skies with chances of intermittent drizzle are expected over the governorates of Dhofar. Winds will be south, easterly light to moderate, and seas will be slight to moderate with a maximum wave height of 1.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos returns to the homeland after conducting some treatments and medical checkups at the Kingdom of Belgium. Former Prime Minister Abdelmajid Tebboune wins the presidential election in Algeria. And Johnson's Conservative Party in the UK wins a resounding election victory as the European Union is ready for negotiations with London for a trade deal. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studio, it's good night.